Hello to you all, and welcome to Pyramid Energy. If you're new to the channel, you are so welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. I'm so glad you're all here. This is a message for a very particular collective. During my meditation, I met your choir. When I say choir, I'm referring to, I actually saw line dancers and I heard your singing. This music. I'm speaking to, it's weird to explain, but an initiate into a group that when you began on your journey, you felt a connection to this group. Okay, this is a group you would have felt within yourself, a collective that serves as a part of a specific purpose on the planet. During your journey, through your struggles and your experiences, including your lessons and times you had to learn from certain ways you projected, I'm told that this particular choir, I'm going to call it a choir, okay, a choir of dancers. I don't even know how that makes sense. But I'm told that there were even times that you projected onto this particular collective through feeling like you are different to them and through forgetting that you are one with them. This collective does not communicate with each other in this dimension. In fact, it sounds like it would limit the scope of their work and their reach if they communicated directly with each other in this realm. They have always recognized you. They've always recognized you and they're welcoming you. They're welcoming you into this dance, into this choir. They're saying that it's interesting. They communicate from a very multi-dimensional perspective. They communicate in a way like they almost want to say, we saw you coming, we've watched you grow, and you can hear us singing because this is the song that you hear once you are on our frequency. It's like that, okay? There is this very deep, compassion is not the word, sense of acceptance of the time and the experience that it takes to be able to feel them and know they're there, which is what you need to know they're there, to feel them and to know they're there, because again, they don't communicate with each other in this realm. This is not to say they do not recognize each other, but in the way that you are feeling their presence, in that way, that's how they recognize each other. That's how you all recognize each other. When I watched this dance and this holding of hands, very light holding of hands, okay, it's as if everyone knew which direction to turn and to move in, moving very synchronistically, very gently, very confidently. There was a deep love for each other. a present love, not a love that is determined through any requirements or actions. It is an observing of your presence and an observation of your mutual presence and activity. This was very much an honoring dance. It was an honoring dance, welcoming you, initiating you into the knowing that you are not alone, that you were never alone, even when you felt that way. When you felt alone, this was part of the projections you needed to move through to learn that, you move in these spaces irrespective of whether you feel recognized or not. This is not a long message, but I felt it's a very generous message in the sense that I suppose this is a part of the honoring to confirm that this place you feel yourself to be in, okay, is one that you are going to feel carried through. By that, I mean to have confirmed your belonging. Your belonging, this very non-attached style of belonging. Okay? To confirm it, okay, I'm remembering a lot now. It is, it's a confirmation that this thread that you've touched, this is hard to put into words, but this thread that you've touched is confirmation that this particular collective has now reached a critical mass. My understanding of a critical mass is, I think I might have come across this in statistics. It's when, I suppose let's call it here, a collective has reached a level, a capacity where the momentum can now begin to accelerate. And not a personal momentum, okay? So this is not a personal momentum in terms of your personal sense of purpose. This is a collective purpose that has now reached a critical mass to say, our work is now becoming easier because you can hear us and we're here. And so now this does not say that you are here to now listen to us. That is not the point. The point is very much, this is very not attached. If you remember what I said about how they're dancing together and each knows which direction to turn and which way to move and sway and step without holding on to each other's hands tightly. We do not hold hands tightly in this space. This is a space of freedom. However, this journey can be a very lonely one. And so this hearing, this seeing of each other is what keeps us motivated, keeps us feeling that sense of community, that sense of understanding, and also a reinforcement of the lack of expectation to show up as perfect. This collective, part of their stability is rooted in knowing that each individual needs their room, space to communicate through their own understanding language. All of these dancers had different dresses. Okay, they were wearing different attires, many different colors, but there was a uniformity about the dance. There was a uniformity around the dress and the flow of the dance. But that individuality was definitely emphasized. All of the space surrounding them, okay, there were no floors, no ceilings. All of the space surrounding them was dark, almost complete black, but they each held a light that you can't actually, I couldn't see the light, and it was not a glow, but the color of their dresses is what allowed them to be visible. They had no faces. They had their presence, like where the head was and where the hands are, there was presence, but there was no face. I pulled a card from the Priestess of Light Oracle. Look at how she's sitting with her eyes closed between these trees. Okay, look how she's she's hugging herself, but you can tell that she's plugged into something. And she's feeling it between what I want to refer to as the wisdom of these trees. And so there's this individual, she's not hiding, she's sitting in peace between the trees. These trees, they represent wisdom, they represent something that's taken a very long time to grow and develop, and something that she is feeding off. And there's almost like a barrier that this wisdom represents, like a barrier to visibility. Okay, so she sits between these trees for purposes of peace, stillness, and to be able to tune in to what is only available from within herself. Okay? This is where she receives this pure light, the one that you see running through her, in front of her. She's also sitting in a very stable position. It says, building your world, creation, expansion, networking. As if she is actually, she's part of a network that she cannot see. And all others like her sit in a similar position, sit in a similar way to receive. They sit in a similar type of knowing. And when they step out of this space, okay, because you can't just only exist in this space. When she steps out of this place, it's not to say she's totally tuned out, but it's to say you may not know that this is one of the individuals that connect with you in this way. This is also, this word expansion speaks to what is actually happening with this particular network, this collective. And I feel very much that this word creation, how it relates to this concept of building your world, it's expanding into two ways for me. As if to build your world is to build on behalf of the world. So you need to be tapped into your individual needs. And this is how you tap into the collective's needs. And over attaching to needs outside of yourself It's speaking to me as a result of sort of responding from a place of trauma. Okay. And so you tap into this space, this mode, once you are ready to really honor yourself, and through recognizing that your individual style of dress, your individual style of language, okay, your individual choices, because they are rooted in love and ideas of compassion and being able to see and honor others as they do this themselves, you'll see an alignment inevitably in each other's needs through honoring your own. It feels very circular, but what I'm referring to is one needs to build their own world the way they want to see it in order to remain aligned with the world you're all building. And it's through this movement through the darkness that you've reached the space where you can see that you are not the only one moving through this, and that there will be others. This is also a release of that sense of responsibility that you used to hold, and I want to say exhibit, as a helper of others, as a healer of others. And so perhaps without even having the capacity to recognize this, it's in honoring that others are also going to walk this path that you're honoring their path, your path, and therefore the path itself. This means that from now on, you will become a part of this, let's call it, welcoming committee. And you will have a new found resonance is coming up. Okay, so this is a the word is coming. Reverence. A newfound reverence for all those who are walking this path. This is a reverence for their highs and their lows. This is their path. This is their path. I feel like what is actually being expressed here quite deeply is this acceptance, this self-acceptance that you're now able to see as a necessary step in your growth as a healer, to recognize that your role was never to carry anybody, and those times you felt you had anyone to carry was a projection, but also a necessary part of the path. When I looked at this card again, I heard them saying, we do what we want here. We do what we want here. This is almost to say, you never needed to do what other people want you to do. you only needed to believe that in order to transform through that. Through learning it doesn't work. And not just that, through being able to see this other side of being, of this other way of being, to see the kind of impact that it has, and to also see that what you intended to, the way you intended to help others may actually have been doing the opposite, achieving the opposite, causing a slowdown rather than leading by example, recognizing that as long as each of us are living, being in integrity, that is enough. Integrity being actually a rather personal concept than it is a collective concept. The word integrity is tying back to the word integrate for me. I looked these words up the other day and found that while they each hold this root word, you know, the first part of integra, let's call it, they obviously that word is that root word. Let me look it up. Yes, the root word is integer, which is whole, complete, okay, upright, untouched. And the word integrate and the word integrity over time have grown to kind of mean different things. But actually, to integrate is to render something whole. And so it's in integrating your lessons that you become whole and therefore live with integrity. And so integrity is very much not an outward concept. It's very much an inward concept through everything that you face as you encounter your own mirrors. To integrate those things is to begin to live with integrity. And it's only once you are at peace with yourself, with the integrity of your own ways, that you are able to observe that you were always free to accept yourself as whole and welcome, embrace your own needs as valid. I'm also reading here, integrate, the meaning, put together parts or elements and combine them into a whole. This message is really to say that in terms of the wider collective and the purpose of this particular collective, which is this particular collective has grown to a critical mass. The concept of integrity is now visibly recognizable and felt. That's what this celebration feels like. I'm going to leave this message here. Thank you for sharing your energy. I also want to thank each and every listener and subscriber. It really helps the channel to grow and supports my own energy very much. If you're looking for other ways to support the channel, I've left details in the description box below. Sending you all so much love.